introductory comments, and then we're going to move right into the substance of our meeting, which really centers around Tia Lynn and critically loved. But I was thinking that in times like this, people regard a Chamber of Commerce as a place where networking can take place. And while that's true, while it's really important, most of the time networking is perceived as contacts where we can grow our business. But our purpose at the Chamber of Commerce in Middletown is much more profound. We're really hoping that we can enrich relationships, that we can help people develop friendships. I was reading today from the Mayo Clinic. Get this, okay? Friendships enrich your life and improve your health. Good friends are good for your health. They increase a sense of belonging and purpose. They boost happiness, reduce stress, improve self-confidence and self-worth, help us cope with traumas such as divorce, serious illness, job loss, job failure, death of a loved one, encourage us to change or avoid unhealthy lifestyle habits like excessive drinking or lack of exercise. And they play a role in our overall health. Adults with strong social support have a reduced risk of health problems like depression, high blood pressure, unhealthy body mass index. And studies have found that older adults who have a rich social life are likely to live longer. So this is a bona fide source in the Mayo Clinic. And last year, at one of our lunches when we were meeting in person, I found another passage that dealt with togetherness and binding together as a group to help each other. And I don't know if you were at that luncheon, but it's worth repeating. It's from Ecclesiastes chapter 4. Two are better than one because they have a good return for their work. If one falls down, a friend can help the fallen one get up. But pity the one who falls and has no one for help. Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of three strands is not easily broken. And here at the Chamber of Commerce and here in our social media group, we can have a cord of much more than three strands. So the purpose today is to, we're breaking new ground today. We're going somewhere where mankind has never gone before. We're actually going to do a case study in our Middletown Chamber of Commerce Affinity Group, social media and e-commerce. And we have the privilege and the blessing of Tia Lynn Scott, who has volunteered to be our first guinea pig case study person. And what we're looking forward today, Tia Lynn, is getting to know you a little bit better, getting to know more about your organization, and then learning from your social media experience, maybe giving feedback, getting feedback. I don't know if Jeff Gladney or Chris Wiggum or a new fellow, John Miller, is going to join us. They may jump in, but those are professionals in social media. Our own Whitney here at Magna has quite a bit of experience in social media, so she'll chime in and ask the right questions. But Tia Lynn, so we sent you a list of questions, but before we get into those questions and maybe a look at your website, because I know you have the share screen function, I know Laura's going to activate that. Would you tell us a little bit about how you founded Critically Loved, what events came up, whatever you want to share. Tell us about your company, tell us what you do, and then the second question I'm going to ask you about is how did you evolve your social media plan to where you are today? So we have a sense of history on your case study. Okay.
Okay.
So the first question. Thank you.
Yep. So I am Tia Lynn, critically loved. My own daughter is 20 years old, one of them, and she has a life-threatening condition, and there just wasn't resources for parents like me. So I didn't know what to do with all the denied medical claims, how to get out of network things approved. She was homeschooled till 8th grade because nobody told me about medical intervention plans or 504 plans. So it took me about like 10 years to figure all that out and to manage her healthcare efficiently. So after I felt like I was doing it pretty well, then I founded Critically Loved to help other parents not struggle like I did. And so we really support parents of critically or chronically ill children and with special needs. It could be developmental, medical, or behavioral. And we just come in and walk alongside them. So we meet practical needs by supplying medical binders to help them get started, give them resources for school, insurance, medical bills, all those questions that I had to begin with. And then we have a lot of events to connect parents to each other. So just like Warren was talking about, that walking alongside people and having friendships and support, man, these mamas and these dads, they need it in the families, the siblings and the children. And putting them in the same room together for events and letting them meet each other and have that organic kind of melding has been the most effective way we have found to do that. So We do that with like social events. So during COVID, we did some outdoor hiking picnics. We did an outdoor trunk or treat for families. And then we also have group support and Bible studies. And usually we do that around the community in different churches, but right now they are all online. And these parents are like so isolated, even more than what most people are, because they have immunocompromised kiddos. And so they really need that support right now. So we are working with MOPS International to provide actually around the country. We did one this summer, we're doing another one in this spring with MOPS International. So there'll just be different groups and different time zones that they can plug in and connect with other parents. So any way that we can support the families, provide professional counseling, because divorce rates are much higher for special needs families. So if we can help hold the family unit together, support them, we want to do that. So we provide sessions for the families for counseling. Trying to think of our other services. So that's kind of how what's what we do. That's how we started. And my own daughter now, it's 20. And so I'm still in the middle of all that. She has diagnosed with life-threatening internal bleeding. And we are in the hospital most weeks getting blood and doing infusions at home. And I'm also a nurse part-time, not officially, but I have to be to care for my child. So I really relate to the parents because I'm still walking that same road with them. So the second question, the social media, I'm not great at it, Warren. That's why I volunteered to be your case study, because I wear a lot of hats. I'm the only staff person. We have a board of directors. This year we've had almost 100 volunteers. So we really are, I'm doing things across the board. So social media is just one of those components. In addition to running a nonprofit, doing all the programming, I do a lot of writing. I do a lot of meeting one-on-one with parents. And so I feel like I need to use my social media time very wisely, because I'm spread very thin on how much time I have to devote to it. So any tips you all have for me, I am glad to take them and to help what we're currently doing. We're currently on Facebook, Instagram, and then we have a website.
Right. Okay. So there are 9 questions that we pose to you, and I don't know the best way we should do this. If you want to, I mean, it's kind of nice to see everybody as opposed to maybe putting up the screen share. Maybe what I could do, Tia Lynn, is just read the question and give your answer if you don't mind, or you can, you can give your answer and then we can ask questions. So the first 9 questions have to do with social media platforms and content, and then we get the question number 10. It dives into your website. So maybe at that point you could screen share your website and we could take a look and walk through some steps and maybe give some ideas or ask questions. Okay.
Okay.
So the first question is, who is your target audience? And you've got donors and families we serve with critically and chronically ill children, which you just explained. I suppose, the next question is, what are you trying to achieve through social media as you reach out to those people? Are you just doing for community where you say community awareness and engagement of volunteers and for support of families you serve? So just thinking about maybe you could chime in here in terms of reaching the target audience. How do you develop your social media platforms to define those target audience? What do you do?
So the way that I meet parents is by creating events on our Facebook page, and then other special needs moms share that. And so in other organizations, so right now we have 49 partner organizations, and those are nonprofit partners and pediatric health providers. So whenever we have events, they promote our events for us to help reach the families that we serve. And so I use social media by like creating an event within Facebook and then tagging people or inviting people that I know will share it. And so that's one big way. And another way is by doing writings. So I do kind of a blog writing where it's usually from a really broken place. It's really raw. It's like, this is how I feel, because usually it's from my daughter's hospital room is where I write that. And those get shared quite a bit. So when I post those, parents that relate to it will share it on their social media or whatever. So those are the two ways mainly on social media that we try to reach families we serve.
I do think Instagram and Facebook are the better ones for what you're doing. I don't think, Twitter and LinkedIn, like, since you said you're spread thin, focus on, I think, what's going to be your bigger target of people. And Facebook probably even more so than Instagram, because you can get because the events, like you said, and I think you can make more of an impact in what you're trying to share. Instagram's so limited with just being able to put a photo on there. Do you have any, or maybe somebody on here knows of anyone locally that this would be a passion of theirs, that's got some kind of clout, like a Kevin Harnett or a Lauren from Wave 3, somebody that's a local quote unquote celebrity, because they tend to, if it's something that's like this, they seem to get into that kind of stuff and help and share. So one thought would be, if anybody in the chamber could link you up with someone that they know this is a passion of theirs, that then you could just have a little call with and say, can you just help me share some stuff? Because you're wanting to help people. You're not trying to sell stuff.
Right.
I think people are always more willing to help people that want to help, as opposed to, you're not trying to force somebody to buy a product. You're trying to help people that are going to go through what you went through. And
yeah, we haven't really found that yet. So some of our partner organizations are great about getting the news to come out and do stories on their events, and we do some of those events with them. And we have a connection with WHAS Crusade for Children because we receive a grant from them, and they used to be really good about putting us on air and doing interviews before our events, but they're not doing that as much anymore. And so we really would love to find like a connection within the news realm or a local celebrity like you're talking about that could help promote us.
Yeah.
We just haven't found that yet.
I know Terry Miners has been big into these kinds of initiatives, these kinds of programs. Have you all spoken to Terry directly?
I have not, no.
Okay.
And that's something, if anybody on here has a contact that we could, you don't have to do it on the video, but that we could get to Tia Lynn that might help her. Because the big thing is just people not knowing that resource is out there.
Tia Lynn, I believe that Miss Cogan, that's on WAVE News, she has twin boys, I believe, and one has a heart condition. So she might be a news celebrity that would have some clout.
What's her name? What is it?
Is it Cogan? I'm drawing a blank.
Kogen?
I forget. She does the evening news on channel
3.
3, I think.
Okay, I'll
We'll
look
it up here.
Yeah.
And I can like email her directly. I know they on the news station, they usually have the email for all the
Right.
talent.
And
So
I'm not
I'll-
sure if it was a birth defect that was something that they, did a surgery on. And I know, to the best of my knowledge, he's like delayed or has some, some issues, but I don't know that he's, she may be a different, once removed from your type of clients or your families, but it might be a start. Might be
Okay, no,
Is
that's
it
great.
Shannon Cogan?
That's it. Yes.
Okay.
Cogan, Tia Lynn.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah,
And I will ask a friend of mine that works with a local magazine if she has any direct contact to anybody.
Okay. So that's a good point that Nancy just made about it might not be the same kind of client we serve. So our name is a little bit misleading. So critically loved, you think of it only being critically ill children. And that's where we started out as, but as I started down the road, I realized, oh, all of this applies to chronically ill children too, because you're dealing with the same insurance, medical bills, frustration, anger, all those issues that parents have to deal with. And so we added chronically ill in, and that's like anybody that's in the doctor's office a lot with their kid, that's across the board. It could be autism, it could be, it could be just diabetes or, something milder, but how do we like market that to get that message across without change. I love our name. You know, we've been around 5 years now. I don't want to like go different name, different branding, but how do we bring that in? So we did recently change our tagline or our mission statement to say critically love exists to provide hope and guidance for families with critically and chronically ill children. But still, whenever you say chronically ill, people automatically think critically ill if you don't explain it a lot of times.
My thought is if you're hitting the family that is dealing with that, they understand. So you're not, as far as the general public, if you've got a healthy child that you've never had issues with. My daughter is a special needs teacher. So she works with children that are chronically ill. And a lot of autism and just, you know, or multiple disabilities. She also does respite work with a girl that's just turned 20, and she has CP, autism, and some other things, but she's helped her grow, and she's seen that battle and that struggle that that daughter's family has gone through, just to try to find the resources and the red tape and the not knowing what you don't know. So you do. So, and I have a cousin who has a daughter that has a spina bifida, twins, a girl and a boy. The daughter has severe spina bifida. She's a double amputee now because of the way that her legs were formed. She couldn't sit right. Anyway, they're struggling. I mean, these are kindergarten kids. And so they're struggling with, you know, the two children. How do you function as a family? How do you, you know, they're mainstreaming her in school now, but the mother has to go every day to help with the potty time at school. So my point is, if you, maybe you're talking about how do you get to these different groups, maybe instead of just throwing yourself out there, if you make a connection with each of these groups, like the Spina Bifida Association, the group.
We are.
Oh, okay. You know, and
So that's where our 40 partners are.
Okay. Because then each one of those, you know, they spread news to their group, and they're always doing their fundraisers and that type of thing. So that would be my input. And like I said, it sounds like you're already doing that.
Yeah, it's been a great avenue for getting the word out. And we do a lot of events with our partner organizations. And Spina Bifida is one of our partners, and Down Syndrome of Louisville. And so a lot of these bigger nonprofits. So we're kind of filling in the gaps, even with these nonprofits that have specialties where they're not providing the same kind of support. And we support them, they support us, and we try to work together. I use the hashtag all the time, nonprofits working together, because we're not in competition with anybody. We're just trying to help support families, you know, more completely. And that's a great, that's a great idea, Nancy, because that's definitely effective for us.
Keelan, have you reached out to, and Nancy's talking about her daughter made me think of this. Have you reached out to schools that have special education teachers just to find out if you can take them information that they can give to families?
Yes, and so I worked with JCPS, worked with Churchill Park, which is JCPS. I've met with the nurse practitioners over JCPS who are over all of the divisions to let them know so they can let their schools know. Now, how much that trickles down, it's a very slow process, you know.
It doesn't.
Yeah, that's where I'm wondering if you could go to, maybe instead of the school system, get in some of the, like the Christian academies and the
I've done that too, yeah.
Some of the places that maybe aren't as big, I don't know.
And
yeah,
what
we
about,
actually have, go ahead, sorry.
I was just gonna say, have you connected with Sproutlings?
We're partners with them.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and a lot of these, all of our partners, we're developing these joint medical binders. And so it has our logo on it. So it'll have like for the Sproutlings one, their logo was at the top too, and then it has our logo on it. It's, you know, for the child's name. And those are given to all of their participants. I just dropped off a few boxes to Sproutlings. They're going to give it to all their kiddos there. So our logo will be on that child's binder. He's going to carry into doctor's offices and specialist offices and ways to connect with them. Yes, so that's a great way to co-brand together with our partner organizations to help promote what we're doing.
No, I'm glad Nancy brought up about the specificity of the conditions, the kinds of children that you help and their families. Because I think you started by saying immunocompromised children, and that's, it's hard for a lot of people to understand. Is that what you said up front? Immunocompromised, right?
Immunocompromised, just during the pandemic, if they don't have an immune system, they can't be out in public at all.
Right,
So,
right. So I was thinking about SEO with from social media, and typically taglines are not very long, but like you were talking about, critically loved doesn't really say what you do. But I was thinking about in this case, and Whit or someone else may chime in and have more insight on what I'm about to say. If you developed a tagline that had maybe, and again, it would be a long tagline, but for the purpose of SEO, if you put up in your tagline, say 8 or 9, maybe less, I don't know, the number of like the kinds of conditions that you typically see. If it's autism, if it's, go ahead. I mean, I'm thinking that if it's on your homepage, and Whit, you can correct me if I'm wrong about this, for the purpose of SEO, it might drive more people to your website.
that's a good
Whit,
idea.
you have any comments on that?
If what's on, I've got her site pulled up right now. If what's on the homepage,
Well, if the actual words were like for the kinds of people, the groups, like you can talk about the demographics. So now we're talking about more specificity with respect to market segments, right?
yeah.
So the market segments then would have to be really defined. And if you could define those market segments on your homepage, maybe underneath your name, maybe that would drive more people, well, create more knowledge as to what you're doing. And it may drive more people to your website through SEO.
That's a really good idea. And we also have a Google grant, so Google ad grant. So we can have up to $10,000 a month of free advertising with Google ads. And
Tia Lynn, one thing I do know is I've been told by people that do that SEO stuff that you want to write for the robots, because Google's got this thing that's basically just going to do scans nonstop, scan websites, scans for words, scan for updates. So they said you basically you still want to write in a way that makes sense to a person, but you want to use those words that the robots will pick up on. So, you want to use the spina bifida, you want to use the, state, use all of the, instead of saying chronically ill and whatever, use specific illnesses, and because they're scanning all that stuff. So kind of beefing it up and writing, still for the human, but also keeping in mind in the back of your mind that robots are scanning these things. And the more times the word is on your website, the more it's going to pull you up in those results. So if you're trying to reach,
And would confirm this as well, early in the website, like the home page and near the top of the page is going to be more visible to the robots than say deeper inside. Is that right? Am I understanding
not
correctly?
necessarily.
Okay.
They basically scan, that's where the keywords come in that get put in by these SEO companies. They put the keywords in on the back end. And
Oh, yeah, that's right.
those keywords because it's scanning. So it doesn't necessarily matter as much where it is as long as it is there.
okay.
And I do know you want to make sure that when you Google your business, that the hours and address and everything are the same that they are on the actual website, because apparently those don't match. Google doesn't like it. But I would say, to Warren's point though, if you can get those on the homepage, kind of like a example of, lists of, example of illnesses that you can help with or something that you
That's a good idea.
that way people can see it quickly.
What I was saying about the Google grant, we could also use those words in the Google grant during the Google ad.
You can do the keywords. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even think about adding those specific diagnosis. That's a really good idea.
Do you have anybody that works on your backdoor SEO words? I don't think it's expensive, because that's like what you said, that has to be done by a technician, right, Whit? Or somebody knows, is knowledgeable.
Not necessarily, like
Yeah,
you're going to get a quicker result. You can learn it on your own, but taking the time, you're just delaying yourself. If you take the time to learn it and then do it, and I don't know if that's something Chris does, maybe.
Chris Wiggum? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, that's a concept that's applicable for anybody that's on this call, really. It's building your your back door of your SEO, right? Your back.
And one thing you have to keep in mind is the SEO is a slow, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And especially if your competition is, very well-known companies that have been around forever, if it's, you got to kind of beat out like for us, for example, in the pharmaceutical realm, our number one product, Stay D, we're never going to be higher on the Google search than Claritin, even if we pay for the same keywords, at least not right now, not in any time in the next 5 years. So March of Dimes, those huge ones that everybody knows, St. Jude, they're always going to be higher up because they've just been doing it for so long. But so they told me too, you kind of keep in mind, if there's certain words that you can never beat out the big dogs, put that money into other words that people may use that would still put you up there. So then you're at least getting more bang for your buck as opposed to being maybe third page search results because you've got St. Jude and March of Dimes and all that stuff in front of you.
Okay.
And granted, I know they're probably doing a little bit different stuff, but
We definitely need help with that. We just, being a new nonprofit, funding is our biggest challenge for sure, for sure. So we just haven't had the funds. Like our website, I built it all myself from YouTube, watching YouTube, staying up till 2 or 3 in the morning, first to get it going. And at least I know how, now that I built it, I know how to make changes to it, and I do all the time. So it saves us money on that side too. But we haven't paid much at all for any of we've done no SEO work. We've done none of that. I've just done it all myself. So I know we have a lot of room for improvement in that. So as we get more funding, hopefully we'll be able to have more options for that.
I can check with a company to see if they have any type of like nonprofit type of, where it's cheaper than a normal.
Okay.
I would say First Step, maybe since he's in the chamber, I would say see if Chris does it, and because he might be able to go in one time for you and set it up, and without having it be like a monthly maintenance.
Okay.
For a
What's his name? Chris what?
Wiggum.
Yeah, there's 3 people in our chamber, and I would think one of them would ask and you shall receive, right? So I think one of them in our chamber would reach out, would be glad to help you with that. And it's Chris Wiggum, Jeff Gladney, or a new fellow, John Miller.
I don't think
I'm sorry.
SEO stuff though.
Jeff
Gonna
who?
do SEO? Okay.
No, Jeff is more IT. He's not going to do SEO type stuff. Chris
Okay.
is going to be social media SEO. The new guy, Warren, I don't know because I don't know anything about him yet, but
Okay.
What I know he does a social media. Okay.
yeah, Jeff's like network and that kind of stuff. So,
All right. So we've covered a lot of these questions that we've asked on the questionnaire. One thing I want to jump to is how are you gauging the success of social media marketing through, or are you gauging the success of your social media platform through platform metrics? This is an interesting topic because, maybe some of you have had the same thoughts. I don't know. When we spend money on social media, and it's like, well, what is it doing for us? I mean, the bottom line is, Chris, with you, it's, are you getting more residents? For us, it's, are we getting more sales in our car washer and pharmaceuticals? So that's the bottom line for us. But with respect to the actual metrics that we're talking about, there are different ways to measure the number of hits, the length of visit, for example. Whit, can you go into that a little bit more? Because I know we've done some of that recently here at Magna.
yeah, and I've got Tia Lynn's answers here real quick. So Tia Lynn, I can't remember. Did you say you do or do not use Google Analytics? I think you said you don't.
I mean, I've looked at it before, but it's not something I check up on or.
Okay.
use
And that
for-
one's a free tool. You don't have to pay anything for it. And then Google will send you like monthly how many new visitors you got to your site and those types of things. That one is free. You just have to, there's some kind of plug-in or something on your website you have to do.
I wonder how many people on this call use Google Analytics. Does anybody? No,
We do.
we do. And the information I think we've gotten has been pretty interesting that I've seen. Can you talk
Yeah,
about
like, so I just got the report for, I'll give you guys an example. So the last one I got came through yesterday. So it basically told me that, what dates is this for? Our November search performance. So, and then it also sent me one that said in November, we had 1.7 thousand users visit our website. 2,000 sessions, which a session means they stay on for a little bit and they click around. Has your average session duration, how many found you through organic search, meaning you didn't pay to find them, how many found you through directly going to your website, and how many found you through like a paid Google ad. So our organic is higher than our paid. So that's, you know, gives you that information. And then the other one I got said for November performance, it tells me how many impressions, which are first impressions you made on someone, like seeing your website on the internet, whether they clicked on it or not. It tells you each specific page. So like our Stay His TP product, that page had 17 more views this month than it did last month. Tells you your top performing pages. So for your, you know, for us, it's products, but in your instance, it would say, it would show you, okay, are more people looking about on the About Us page, or more people looking about Contact Us? And then if you know what pages they're looking at the most, you can, that's where you want to put the information you want them to see. You know, so if you can see, okay, 75% of the people that go to our website are going to the blog. If you're not including your events in your blog, maybe you want to start adding your event announcements as one of your blogs each time, or so it is useful in that realm. It doesn't necessarily tell you how to reach more people directly, but it kind of helps you know, okay, where do I put my resources? Where do I put the bulk of my information based on where people are going? And ours, I did ours so long ago, I can't remember how you set it up. I think you basically go into Google and you make an account, and then somehow you can connect it to your website. I think we use Wix. I don't know what you use, but I think there was just a thing where I went and clicked turn it on or off, and I just turned it on.
Mhm.
And it's something
Yeah.
that in the
I
back
think I
end.
have it set up in my WordPress account. I just don't ever look
Yeah.
at it.
You just probably got to set up the Google side so you can check in, and you don't even
But I
have
don't check in. Yeah.
to it. It'll, you know, you can set it to just email it to you on a monthly basis, and then that way,
Okay.
you know, you at least get something if you're not going to it. As far as the social media ones go, and I don't think you've done any social media ads, you said, right?
I've done a few with Facebook, just to promote like our Bible studies, but I haven't
Okay.
done much at all.
And most of those are, I put the ads manager app on my phone, so I can see it on there as well. But if you're in your Facebook, there's basically just a page called Ads Manager. And when you go to that, it's going to tell you campaigns you've run, and then based on what your goal was, how they produce. So like we had, it'll tell you impressions, which means people saw it, your cost per result. So like our last one we did, our goal was conversions, trying to get the sales. So it basically told me, you know, I can see the budget and then how many sales we got out of it. But again, that's something that you kind of have to click in and go look on it. If you put the app on your phone, it will give you an update. I think it's either a daily or a weekly status update on how your ad's performing. So, and the ones we've done so far, like what I've figured out from it is we probably need to narrow our target audience.
Audience. Mhm.
So like for you, you may say, okay, this time let's put $50 in and let's focus only on Oldham County and see what happens, you know, instead of doing Kentucky as a whole. Or because they do say it does seem the more you refine that target audience, the more you're going to get for especially if you're doing a lower dollar budget instead of doing, and I assume you guys just do local, you don't do nationwide.
What do we
Right.
spend on Google ads? How much do they typically cost? I'm thinking about Tia Lynn's budget,
You can do whatever you want. You can, on Google ads or on Facebook ads.
or either one.
Facebook ads, you can do any dollar amount. You can say you want to spend $10. You can say you want to spend $1,000. That's one nice thing about Facebook and Instagram ads is it lets you choose your own budget. And then I always tell it, you spend my money the best way you should, instead of me manually doing it. Google, since we outsource that, it might depend on, probably depends on the region, you know, how big of a net you're casting. And if you only wanted to do Louisville, it's going to be a lot cheaper than if you wanted to do the entire US.
That's something we're definitely missing. Like we have that budget of up to $10,000 a month we can use for free for that grant, and we're not utilizing it because it's not set up right. I tried to hire that out, like with just a local guy that didn't do, it was not effective at all. Spent like $150 trying to get that right, and we
You
definitely
need
need to
somebody
have
to kind
that.
of help you set it up and
Can I make a suggestion for finding someone to help you? And it's free, is to go to the local colleges for sure, and go to, oh gosh, I don't know if you go to IT or those departments where they're learning all that journalism and social media and what have you, and find someone that wants to do intern for you. These students are looking for internships and they're willing to do it free, and especially right now. And you don't even have to go local. You could go to any college because they could do it remotely.
well, I can tell you, I went to U of L, and to graduate, I was required to do an internship, and you were not allowed to be paid.
Exactly.
So-
Right.
There's Code
Okay, that's a
Louisville
good
now.
idea.
There's Code Louisville now too. They're graduating people and a lot of that is website design, that type of thing. And there might be some people that be interested in doing it for free just to say, hey, I, did this.
What was that? What was it name?
Code Louisville, it's a program sponsored by, I guess, the city of Louisville. And it's certificates for different computer
Training.
website design, mostly website, but they have other programs too. But it was sponsored by the city to help get more people into that line of work. So it's
Okay.
not a college, it's not a college degree, it's a certificate. But
I think with $10,000.
People maybe want to build their portfolio of.
right. And my son went through it. He actually graduated from Bellarmine with computer sciences, but he did take some Code Louisville classes when he was kind of in between, and there was something he wanted to learn, and so it's nice. But they graduate groups all the time, so
That's a great idea.
and it's sponsorship with the city, so that would be a good plug for you too. Anytime you can get into the the city's email, then you should be good.
Those are
My
great
thinking
ideas.
is that if you had $10,000 a month, if you carefully spent it in the right places, you would get that. See, that's the question I've got. So, well, I'm not really sure where to spend the money and how to, that's where I would need guidance.
Well, that's true, because if you've got the money, then you pay for somebody that can go in and do it right the first time, instead of an intern that would be monkeying around with it, which is kind of, they may have more knowledge than you, but if you did your own website, you've probably got a pretty good base of through trial and error. But yeah, if you've got the money, it might be good just to say, hey, I'm going to spend, a pretty good amount of money, but it's going to be working on all platforms and get it done the right time, get it done fast and right.
An intern could always develop graphics for you, though.
Yeah.
But I think TLN for you, though, I think your Google ad, I think yours is easier than some other people because you are, you have a smaller territory and you have a niche audience. So it's easier for you to go plug in that Google ad. Okay, I want to reach people only in Louisville who, you can pick those things. People have already searched these illnesses online or something, and yours is going to be a little easier than somebody who's got a local boutique and they're selling shoes. They got to compete with the whole nation selling shoes, so you got a little bit easier, I think, Tom, with that Google.
Well, yes and no, because there's no, we don't have competition, but there's nobody else doing what we're doing. So how do families find us to know we provide the support that nobody else is providing? So there's that double-edged sword of how do you find
Well,
those
and that's
people?
where you take those keywords to where, okay, if a family who's struggling with this, what do you search? What did you, before you started this, before Critically Loved was here, as a mom experiencing what you were going through, what did you search for on Google?
Not much, because my daughter's
Your
condition doesn't even
keywords.
have a name, and she's
Yeah.
6 kids, so it's so rare. So there was just nothing for me to really.
But if you can put yourself on that mindset of,
Yeah.
as a parent, what am I going to look for? Use those as your keywords. And then
Mhm.
whenever they search that, then your ad is there saying, hey, we can help you.
I had a nephew that.
I've got a,
Go ahead, Chris, go ahead.
I said, I've got a couple of people that I work with that could probably be very helpful. And I'm sure that they would be open to having a conversation with you to give you some really good guidance and possibly even donate a little time working with you. If you could send me an email with your contact information and just a brief description again of what it is that you're doing, I will get that in their hands and have
Okay.
them reach out to you.
What's your email, Chris?
It's
Why don't you put it in the chat? Put your email in the chat.
okay. It only goes to Laura, so she'll have to.
Oh,
The way chat's set up, I can only send it to Laura. So
Is he, Chris, are you on the distribution list of the email that went out to everybody?
it
Maybe you
should
can
be.
find
That's
it.
why I'm here. So
Yeah,
yeah.
good. Well,
Yeah.
glad, thank you.
Yeah, it's chrismatt2008@gmail.com. So it's really easy.
We want to go into your website, Tia Lynn, before we run out of time here. I just want to say that I had a nephew who had idiopathic thrombocytopenia purpura, which is a immunocompromised disease, and we found out that he had all kinds of problems with bleeding, et cetera. He had no place to go, really to find. So it's really defining. I think that if anybody who has ITP that wants a support group, his turned out to be a milk allergy. That kind of information that people can share with each other can be invaluable, So anyway, because it was weird. He'd gone through all kinds of doctors, and a homeopathic physician found that. So it's the sharing of this kind of information among people. I think that is enormously helpful. Can you put up your website? Let's take a look we have about 10 minutes left.
Well, she pulls that up, Warren. I've got it up on mine. So just one little thing I am noticing. So when your website's open in my tab, which you can see, okay, so see how Facebook, you have the Facebook symbol, Instagram, you have the Instagram symbol. See how yours is just that generic little box?
Uh-huh.
You can get your critically loved logo there. I think
Oh,
good. And also you might want to look into why your site is showing not secure. Like right in front of criticallylove.org, it says not secure.
okay.
Because that is something that some people may fear.
See that?
Basically, it's telling people not to enter sensitive information on the site because it could be stolen by attackers.
Huh, I wonder, I never noticed that before.
And some people's firewalls and stuff may tell them, are you sure you want to proceed? This isn't a secure site, that kind of thing. So it's something to check into. So
Wonder
that could be
how-
preventing people from getting to you, and probably affects your Google SEO because Google's seeing you as
Huh.
a risk factor.
Good to know. I'll check into that for sure. Okay, so how do you do the little logo up here?
Should be, it's probably in your, I can't remember if it's in your Google settings or if it's in your website on your WordPress. Somewhere, if you're in your WordPress settings, it's either going to be under like settings and then general website, and then it's called a favicon, Favicon. Like on mine, on Wix, it's under settings, general website settings, and then I click on favicon. I'm not familiar with WordPress, but I
Okay.
would something similar, and then you just upload your logo.
Sounds good.
And you can probably Google how to update my favicon in WordPress and easily.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that.
Seems like there's YouTube videos for everything these days. So
Website, it's not, I would like it to be more user friendly with like tabs at the top where you drop down. All of these are our nonprofit partners, and each one is a clickable link onto their website. And down at the bottom is our blog. Sponsors. These are actually social media buttons, but I don't know why. Some browsers, it doesn't show up, and some browsers it does. I'm not sure why that is, but
are you in Chrome? I'm in Chrome.
Yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
Chrome.
So it's not showing in Chrome. Let me look at it in Edge and I'll see what it does in Edge. And that's probably something, again, that's probably a setting maybe in your WordPress that's doing.
Okay.
Because right now, I mean, unless somebody hovers over them, they're not going to know what those are.
Right. Yep.
Tia, I just sent you an email. I found your email on the other email and a connection to someone, and I gave her email and I gave you her name and stuff. So hopefully the two of
Awesome.
you can talk.
Thank you so much.
I gotta leave. I have another meeting, so take care.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Thank you.
Some of these do TLN that have, like you got that have the white box around the logo. You could probably ask your contacts there if they could send you their logo with a transparent background.
You mean for our partners?
Or down at the bottom with the BBB accredited charity. They should be able to send you, and you might even be able to find some of them, but send you the logo with a transparent,
That's the white.
not the white box behind it.
Okay.
It'll just look a little cleaner. It's not really
Yeah.
that anything's wrong. It'll just look a little cleaner.
Okay. And then here's our Facebook page.
How many followers do you have on Facebook or people like your page?
Like
Do you know how to
800
see
and
that?
something. I could hunt for it, but
Well, if you go over here to the left, on that left bar, click on Insights. And that's another area too, to kind of gauge your Facebook metrics, is it'll tell you, so you've got your page views, total page followers, so 869. You can kind of see your traffic, and it should kind of tell you as well, like on your posts, whenever you make a post, the type of engagement you get. You might see that, okay, posting at lunchtime, it gets me way more engagement than if 500 people are reached, as opposed to posting at dinner time where I only reach 100. Then you kind of
okay.
data post. But my thought with the number of likes is, does everyone that is involved in Critically Loved, have they all invited their personal Facebook friends to like the page?
No.
Because that's an easy, free thing to do, is just say, hey, I want everybody, and I've got a how-to sheet if you need it, but you basically just say, hey, I
Okay.
want everybody to go invite everybody on your Facebook friends list to like our page. Because even if they might not need it, then maybe they see something and share it with somebody who does.
That's a good idea.
If I have 1,000 friends and Joe, who works with me, has 1,000 friends, the overlap between the two of us is probably, less than more.
Mm-hmm.
That's something and you can do it more than once. So every few months or so, that's something I ask our employees to do.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely do that. All right.
What we should probably do this afternoon at our 3:00 session, TLN, is spend more time on your website so we can explore more tabs and pages.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments? I'm very conscientious of our time, your time, and don't want to belabor this another Zoom call here. So, okay.
Thank you all for your insight. That's all good. I have a page full of notes, so y'all will keep me busy for a while.
Hopefully this has been valuable to you, and I've learned myself. So, and I look forward to our 3:00 session also. Thank you so much, Chris and Nancy, Whit, Allison, of course, Laura, and I know that Randy had to leave early, and I think Dr. Koki, is that his name? He's a podiatrist, he was on.
Mhm.
So thank you all. Hope you have a wonderful afternoon and the rest of your week, and hopefully we'll see you very soon. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very
Bye.
much. Okay. Bye-bye.